welcome back to Cast Me to Hell with me, Seb.
And me, Robbie.
And here we are with another absorbing film from our Body Snatchers season, which is The Blob.
Yes.
Now you get the joke.
And it was a fantastic joke.
It was fantastic. It was so good, I repeated it.
Yes. We did this whole sci-fi body snatching. And if you hit that subscribe button to get the rest of the episodes coming up, which are very clearly body snatching, we were like, the Blob. Okay. But he is snatching bodies in a way.
Yeah. I mean, one, I think is partially because we just wanted to do this film. Originally, we did say maybe sci-fi, but it felt a bit vague, a bit not close enough. And we did Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is obviously a body snatcher film. My perspective on that was that the Blob is growing larger by taking the bodies. So technically, it's not replacing the bodies, but it is, basically using them.
Yes.
And that's my justification of why I think this still is a body snatcher film.
Yes. Well, at first I was like, well, it's an 80s, like it's a remake of a classic sci-fi film. And one of the other films that we're doing is kind of a remake in a way. Not going to give them out yet. And then the other film that we're doing is an 80s film, and it's a sci-fi. And then I was like, The Blob. And then, yes, you were like, yes, it is a body snatching film. So it all comes together in the end.
Yes, it all comes together. You can be like, nah, but
we're
doing it.
much like the very famous franchise that one of these characters is in. You may think that there isn't really any plot or there isn't anything, but it all comes together. It's all very vague and it all links up somehow, but it all comes together.
It all comes together at the end. The Blob. Now, I remember, I think I just watched this I was just watching random, sci-fi horror film, because I'm pretty sure I watched this before you watched this. Because I remember saying to you, that was surprisingly, because although I think I'd seen the poster for this, because the poster, the big, pink blob over the front. But, again, I think I'd mainly heard as this is kind of like a throwaway kind of horror from the time. It was this is obviously the Chuck Russell directed from '88, not the Steve McQueen '50s one, which is also a very good film, to be fair. That one's got some really cool effects for the time with the blob creature and things like that. It's really good. If you've never seen that one, check that one out too. But this one takes it in a completely different kind of way, in a completely different style. And this one is by Chuck Russell, but also by Frank Darabont. Now, this one has Frank Darabont, I think, had a little hand in multiple kind of horror remakes or sequel of the time. But the most one that we absolutely loved, and we only watched this like a week ago or so, was Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Yes.
Yeah, Chuck Russell directed that. And Frank Darabont played a part in the script for that film, so he had a part in that too, and they worked together again with this film, and that film is great.
That film's great, and it kind of, there's a lot that they do have in common. Mostly this just incredible kind of practical effects.
The effects are so good in this film, and in that one as well.
Good soundtrack, but they also, I think Frank Darabont also did The Fly too.
Yeah. He hit some 80s little thing. Yeah. Which was awesome.
Good
like
fun,
the original
fun.
Fly. It really fun. Had some really good effects, things like that. Part in those, just, again, because it's a sequel, it's undermined as that. This one, I think, was at a point in the 80s when a lot of this stuff was just not... It had hit a point when it had been sequel after sequel and things like that, and the horror was hitting a bit of a point by the end of the 80s. It took a kind of revision in the mid-90s to really bring horror fully back, because horror got to the point where people were like, well, it's just the same characters doing the same, same repeated plots, same stuff like that. Even after their Nightmare on Elm Street film, Dream Warriors, it kind of then got to the point where people were like, even that franchise was starting, it had another 2 after this one, I think, and that was already something like, we're just getting the same old, they're not doing anything new with it. But in between of all those sequels and remakes that they made, for us, they made some proper bangers, and they also had a real keen eye on special effects at the time.
And that's what I feel like, if you look at the main 3 that come to mind when we're looking at sci-fi remakes with big implementation of 80s practical effects are The Thing, which we covered, absolute fucking banger. The Fly, which we covered, which is a fucking banger. And then this one, all of them kept kind of to me kept a kind of a true element of the originals in there, but they just updated them with kind of snappier visuals. This maybe kind of modernized the pace to make it a bit more 80s, and then just amped the gore and the practical effects of things. And I feel like this film, like the DNA is and the plot is kind of very similar to The Blob. I feel like I'd have watched it because I feel like it's a very similar kind of story.
This one's somewhat, it's not, obviously, I mean, it's brought to its time in the 80s, so you've got like a long-haired guy in a leather jacket, like riding around on a bike.
With a white shirt.
Yeah.
so that, and this is the first time I watched it, I thought Paul was going to be the main character.
Yeah.
You know, good-looking jock guy, comes in, he gets the condoms. He's got to give. he's dating Shawnee Smith.
Yeah, he is.
And you're like, this guy. He's got to be the main.
They're not his
guy.
condoms. Remember.
They're not his condoms.
They're actually for his rapey best friend.
For his rapey best friend. But just have one or two.
Those Trojan ripped.
Yeah, those Trojan ripped. And then,
I thought he was going to go for the. Because I thought he was asking him size when they go to that scene.
Yeah.
I was like, he's going to pull the Frank Reynolds out, make sure I have a Magnum XL. It's always
XL
showing off.
Yeah, but the main character of this film is very much a guy with a mullet.
Yeah,
and
Mr. Kevin Dillon.
Mr. Kevin Dillon.
Mr. Matt Dillon's brother.
Yeah, and it's
mainly only known for, I think, Entourage, the TV show.
Yeah.
I've seen him, Kevin Dillon, in that one, playing more of a comedic kind of side character. Brother kind of thing.
And that's
not
the
nearly
role
as big.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the role. Like why do you dress your lead character so poorly? Like it's like wearing like a school shirt and like a leather jacket, you know.
It's trying to just play it to the fit, like, but I don't know why he's in the It's the fact that it's a full-on button. We're not talking like we're not talking like a tight white tee like would have been.
No, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
Steve McQueen throwback.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like a
full-on
school shirt.
Yeah, shirt kind of thing.
It's
Yeah,
just a shirt.
Yeah, I don't know if that is meant to be a bit like other because I feel like that's what Steve McQueen kind of not the leather jacket, but he wears like a shirt, a buttoned-up shirt for most of the film. I don't know if that's going to be some weird, but it doesn't come off kind of thing. It is a weird one because he's got long hair, which is his hair, but at the same time, certain shots you look at it and go like, "Is it a wig?" Because it just looks unnatural in many ways. But it's an odd, like that's an aesthetic choice. But what is the idea to subvert the expectations of the audience, and this film is really good at constantly doing that.
Yes.
Like that is one of the effects and the subversion of a standard like horror of how you expect things to play out. Constantly it does it, and playing on like I think it's playing on the original film, going like, well, they did this, you know,
so we're going to do this.
You know, even the overarching thing to go of, you know, in the original it's the alien that comes down from space, and that's what we believe it is at the beginning, and then they subvert it by going, actually no, to be with the times, this is actually a chemical warfare thing. This is actually something to do with that. This creature is not of space. This is actually something unnatural that we have made, kind of thing. Which again, it kind of plays with the thing. I'm not saying either way. Like, to be honest, that part would make very little difference in my mind whether it ended up being an alien from space or things like that. But they're still trying to play with it. They tried to make it feel like different and fresh. But the main thing, to be honest, is that the fact that this is just from the beginning to the end. It's got, I think, because this was a box office failure. This was made for 10 million and it only made 8 million. So it was a fail. You know what I mean? And I think I've even seen, read an interview thing with Chuck Russell where he reflected on it. And part of his view was, maybe it was a bad idea to take a film from the 50s that was quite a serious horror and inject kind of humour and stylized elements into it. Yeah. And I was like, I think the exact opposite. I think this is fun. It's horror. It feels exactly of its time in the 80s. Yeah. You know, late 80s, closer, you know, obviously nearer to 90s. It feels of that time. It's got a lot of like humorous elements to it. Yeah, a couple of like little cheesy kind of bits in it, but that's fine because it is a blob that is absorbing people. You know what I mean? And then you get into the special effects, and they are just superb.
But I also feel like, I mean, it's a film which has a lot of heart to it, and has humour. There's quite a good chunk of humour. It never plays out straight like a horror comedy, but it does have a good breadth of humour in it.
But it's also like a teen one that also gives enough time for you to get to know characters, which is not also, again, very unusual for an 80s horror, because normally it's like there's some background character and they're dead, but quite a few characters get a couple of moments of either humour or talking where you're like, actually, shit, that's kind of too bad.
Yeah, and that's when the brutality comes in.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's necessary, and I feel like a lot of the deriders of it when it came out, I did some reading, they were just kind of saying, it's like, it takes a lot of what the original was and it just kind of shits on it by updating the gore and doing that.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like you have to really do something with it, because there are a lot of those old sci-fi horror films from the kind of black and white era that just, they don't really quite fly anymore. They have to be updated. Like, have you ever?
Yeah, absolutely do.
I remember the first time I watched The Creature from the Black Lagoon. I didn't find it. I found it just hilarious, but not just because it looked funny, but also because of just how like the story pieces went together. You know, it just felt so dated.
And the original Blob has a very similar kind. It is very much, it's the old school kind of, or the guys at school, the jocks at school in their cars riding around town, and
Lover's Lane.
Oh no, I've just happened to fall upon this, and we've got to get through that. And that one does have some fantastic elements of, like there's a scene in a doctor's office when someone's hand gets like absorbed and things like that. Again, referenced in near the beginning of this film. And where it seems to like fully take them over and things like that, which are excellent for the time, but generally it plays out in that very kind of standard light. It kind of makes its way across town, and then that's kind of it. But those elements wouldn't reflect, like, one, they don't reflect the time that this one's set in, but it needed something to push it. Like, you can't take a 50s film and be like, oh yeah, we're going to basically make this in the same style. Like, this is where a lot of horrors almost go wrong, when they go, we're just going to, it's like the weird Psycho remake where he just completely remade and was shot for shot and was like, that's the only way to really make it. It's like, well, then don't make it. like, if you're just going to do that, then don't do it. You know what I mean? It's the same way of they'd taken this and go, right, we're going to do a 1950s set, we're going to stick with the original, we're going to basically do that, but it's like, what? Then why are you doing it? Like, what's the point? Whereas this one gives reason and justification for why it should exist, but also, at the same time, we just want to enjoy a horror film, and we want to have fun in a horror film, and we want to have special effects and that make it stand out and be like, oh my god, wow. And there's something about this, I can understand why people of that time in the 80s, looking back at like the 50s and going like, but that's a classic horror film, and this is now that. But, it's the same way that many people would look at The Thing from another world and go, The Thing, and think about, yeah, but that's not the same. You've done things to it that you shouldn't have. It's like taking that perspective on it and be like, as if John Carpenter's shouldn't be seen as absolute classic because the original Thing didn't really contain much graphic violence or like that level of horror. It was just a guy kind of outside in the suit, coming in towards them. They're completely different eras of film, but they both stand alone as their own thing. Like, I honestly believe that I have not seen this film referencing nearly enough horror things or even talked about enough.
No.
When I actually think that this has like level of body horror and things like that, where I'd go, in terms of remakes, like, this is one of the best remakes I've seen to a very good original film. But this is a great remake, even though, yes, it has got some of the, you could say, many people would say, downfallings of, like, I guess the way that they characterize people in like the 80s and the way that people looked in the start. You could take things that away from it and go like, well, yeah, these characters aren't totally original and these aren't things. But it's more about, again, that subversion of expectation that I think is something that makes it stand out as a horror film. Like, that no one, like, I think anyone starting this film would not know the way that it's going to go with character.
No, like, look at the bit with Paul. We're introduced to Shawnee Smith, and we do get like a little bit of a time where we see this kind of small town, I think it's in California, just going about their day, and we see like everybody knows everybody.
we've got like the
local
sheriff and the
chemist.
calf talking to, you know, behind,
to the
chatting up the waitress and
Yeah.
trying to get a date and things like that, which is kind of a like little sweet kind of scene in a way, like that they're kind of like, and I'm off at 11, and it's kind of a nice playback. You get the condom scene,
which is
great. It's funny with the weird priest coming in, and then you've also got the fact that he's like telling him, that's actually my mate, that's Paul's, that's his, I'm trying to look after him, father, and things like that, and having obviously the father who you're there like, I can kind of see where this is going, but it's funny.
It's funny. It gives it that like everybody knows everyone. It's
even like the
funny.
kids, like the little kids, you get kind of the moment of them being like, you little tykes, trying to sneak into a horror film, and then you've got like the brother who's a bit more like, okay, mum, I'm kind of listening to you, and then his friend who's like just a bad little Dennis the Menace style influence on him. He's always listening to his cassette player from the 80s.
Well, he was hip, he was cool.
He was cool walking around with it, even sat in the cinema still listening to it while he's watching a film.
Well, that's the equivalent of people being on their phones.
Yeah, it is.
Watching a film, just listening
scrolling TikTok while you're trying to watch halfway through a film.
Yeah, and then when the blob comes down on the meteorite or the satellite in this, and attaches to the homeless chap's hand, and then he then gets hit by Paul and Shawnee Smith. Megan, I think her name is, and they take her to.
And you've got obviously Kevin Dillon's character as well.
Outsider.
I will admit, out of all of the, and I actually like him when we get to, because we get to see him like in the garage interacting with the guy. When you get to see him on a human level, that he's actually kind of a kid who's like had a shit background, and people seem to treat him like shit. I actually like that. I do think like what you said at the beginning though is, sadly, the one thing that does distract, and I almost think if it wasn't for Kevin Dillon's look in this film, if he just looked differently, I actually think that oddly that would change people's perspective on this small town. But because he's looks like such a stereotype of some 70s 80s hard kid, it actually almost at first, I remember when I first started watching this, and you're just watching him doing like motorbikes thing, and I remember first watching a few minutes, I was like, this is probably gonna be shit. Like this might be okay, but this is probably because of him. Like literally, if I look at any other character in this film, no one else really. You've got the jockey ones, but again, we play on that stereotype, and we play on his. But it is kind of a stereotype of the kid who's a hard kid who's actually got a heart of gold. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if you removed his image almost from the film, not his character necessarily, but his image. Like I feel like you'd almost look at this more like, this is a relatable small town. Whereas I always thought that like biker, hard kid, greaser kid was always a bit of a like, not that they didn't exist, but it just always seemed a bit like it just takes you out of it a little bit.
But it's not consistent enough to be a greaser. He looks like a character from EastEnders.
Yeah.
Like he's like a mullet. I'm not against a mullet, very 80s. I'm not against a mullet. It's the fact that he's wearing like a leather jacket with like a white shirt and blue jeans. That's I'm sure.
I just think
Phil Mitchell.
I think the opening part, like that part, is almost like puts a bad taste on a film that is mainly actually not that formulaic a film. But the opening makes you think that when you're watching a kid driving, it feels like many other 80s films that I've seen where like, oh shit, I've seen this kind of so many times.
Get over the shot.
Like that. Like it's just that. It's like that bit playing out. But when we actually get to know him, when he like goes into the garage and he talks about like, can I borrow this horse for my bike? And when the sheriff talks to him in a kind of like a bit of a like a, you're an asshole, like kind of way, not in a full on like way, but like he's kind of like, I'm watching you, you're gonna get in trouble. Then you almost already start to feel a little bit sympathetic towards the fact that people just seem to treat him like he is an outside like piece of dirt kind of thing. Yeah. So I like it when it's like that. I just can't like looking at his leather jacket and his mullet. It's a bit of a hard one. Like when I feel like everyone else kind of feels like, again, like it feels like. And this is again where I would put some of this onto Frank Darabont's writing, because he is fantastic at doing like character in small like set pieces and giving a relatability. And then we can look at any films from his, whether we look at The Mist, Shawshank Redemption, all of them. It has lots of character. Those films like Green Mile, they have lots of characters in them, and Dream Warriors as well. Loads of, and that's not fully in because there's like 4 writers on that film, but where they have he tends to work in films that have ensembles of a lot of characters, and Walking Dead first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And he somehow makes all of those characters have something that makes the, you can tell how they tick, even though they've only got like literally, you actually only had like 30 seconds of screen time, but somehow in the dialogue, you gave me something to latch onto.
Yeah.
That's what like showed through here. And then I think on the other side, I think Chuck Russell obviously has a great eye with special effects and things like that work together so well here. So we get to know all of those kind of the main build of the town, and then the meteorite comes down. Like you get that kind of what's going on. They come across we get that great scene of the homeless guy.
Yeah, trying to hack his hand off.
Yeah, it's really like obviously like he looks at it with the stick, and then it kind of on the end of the stick, and then it just grabs down onto him, and really cool because you see like a bubbling effect on his hand in there, and the fact when he first comes across, it is with Kevin Dillon's character, isn't it, when he's like that and just suddenly starts going whacking his hand off, like it's like fucking hell.
It's great.
And they come across that, and they all have to help him to get to the hospital. But again, by this point, the person who's probably had the most screen time has been Paul, because we've seen him in multiple scenes, like in the car, things like, apart from maybe Kevin Dillon's character might be side by side with that a little bit, but Paul has now been put forward as he's actually a nice kid. He's in some ways getting put like his mates making him look like he's a bad kid, or Kevin Dillon's character doesn't really get along with him because they're different sides of the thing. So you're getting that, but generally he seems across like a nice kid. Like when he shows up to pick her up,
he seems like a nice,
and you get that comedic scene of the father pulling the paper down. You with the
ripped condoms. I'd like some ripped condoms.
All those kind of scenes nicely build up to the idea of Paul, and we get this in the hospital because Paul jumps to action. In the hospital, so you've got you've got the old man in there, and we start seeing like as if it's taking more and more and more and more, and then we get like screaming, and Paul goes straight to action to be like, "Stay here." We have our hero of the film, and then obviously we get him run in, and he sees basically it now covering, and we get like a dissolving effect on the body that's over the top of this old man, and you see it like literally breaking down, and it's like straight away like. For me, the main thing is just how they managed to make the actual the blob goo look so cool in its movement. Because there's something that feels like that's almost a really hard thing to do, to make it look both like it is a liquid and still make it look like you're animatronically or whatever you're doing to it, making it look like you're managed to puppetry it. Like they build it into the inside of it to break it down and things. The way they've got prosthetics going while it's still moving around.
It's really, really interesting.
It's a really interesting, which could not have been an easy effect at all to create.
No.
And it's really awesome. But then we hear Paul scream, and then we're like, oh fuck. But obviously he's just seen that body, so you're thinking he's screaming at that. So then we go back to Shawnee Smith, who then oh fuck, who is it? So you goes to because they even had the doctor. Like Paul had asked the doctor to come and help. This is an emergency. So you wonder what's going. So they literally walks into the room, and literally everything in that room is just suddenly being like the blob has expanded onto multiple people, and we see that amazing effect of Paul reaching his hands forward and his face as his literal skin is like dissolving away in front of you.
Good.
And we see it literally break down into the point where it's literally like his jaw just comes away, his eyes disappear.
Amazing.
It's fucking gross, and it's
so
awesome.
And
it's an amazing effect.
It's so brutal. I like the bit where he's on the phone to the sheriff, and he's like, "Sheriff, some shit's happening," and you see like the spots of acid falling down. And in your head, you're thinking, Paul's the leading man. So he's, he'll turn or he'll get away. But he just looks up and you see the blob and then the scream. Oh god, it's so brutal.
And it's that first major subversion of the film where you go, okay, this is not the way we think. And it does truly create that sense of nobody is safe in this film. And you get that in multiple scenes from here when they go out from here. But the next one we get. And again, for a little bit, we do get a little kind of jump to the next. Where's the blob going next? Kind of.
But
thing.
It's a very pacey film.
It is.
It don't like it. This
like an hour and 34 minutes. It is fast.
And the opening must happen in about 15 minutes. It's very quick, which I think does go, in the film's favour.
And I think it works for what it is anyway, because this creature is moving quickly to get to the next, the next piece of sustenance. Yeah. It's trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is when we get to the nice, the best friend in the car.
Yes.
With the rapey, the rapey scene.
He's
literally like date raped her, basically.
Yeah.
And you feel sorry for the girl, like in this scene, really, because fucking hell, like she gets horrible. Like one, you've got him in there.
When he goes to his boot, doesn't he?
I love the boot thing, because it's so like. First, you're like, he's got a whole bar in there, and then you realise he's got like a million tools. Like, he's got a little mixer, handheld mixer.
He's got to have his tools, as Dennis Reynolds.
He literally has. He is an archetype of a Dennis Reynolds.
Now, I was going to ask you this whilst I watched it. So, framing this through the 80s, like, obviously, you're looking at this now and you're like, this guy's a rapist. Like, no bones about it. But in the 80s... were they looking at this like, this guy's hilarious? Look at his tools. Look at it. Look at his feet.
He's like that funny character. You do have that in especially like say 70s and 80s horror. You've got like a character who's like, well, that's not really his, but that's what people do.
That's
you know
what
I mean?
Do.
It's the old. It's like going back to the old why I order kind of like, like that kind of idea of but it's just what they do. They get some drugs into the girl, and they do it, and now like people reflect and they go, fucking hell.
Yeah.
I weirdly feel like, although in this one they are trying to be like questionable of this, what he's doing. I think they are like. I don't think this is putting the character in there to be like this. I think they're framing him as a kind of a gross jock. Yeah, he is a shitbag. We want him to die very soon, kind of thing.
And it is great. Like it's
the way it plays with the expectation, because you're almost expecting, because you see it coming through the grass towards them, and obviously he leaves the car open, but then you've got the girl is still passed out, the one who's just literally been like molesting, literally like unbuttoning her top and things like that. So he's like literally saying things out loud as to be accountable, as if she heard this happen, or as if you said that, like if anyone's listening nearby, she said she wants me to take her top off.
No, you're hot, let me unbutton it.
It's that like that creepy shit, which I think is on purpose, of like to show how just how creepy people, like men in that situation, could be.
Of course.
But I love the fact that you're looking at it going like, like almost in a way there was a little bit of me kind of be like for the girl, because of those shit that she's just gone through. Technically, to be a bit like as if like it's gonna pop up. Hopefully she's gonna like wake up and run off screaming, kind of thing. Because that's what you're almost expecting. Because you're like, well, the blob just takes them. So far, that's what we've seen. The blob gets their body and it absorbs them. So she's not got. But then it has the weird thing of that it's somehow already inside and eating her, and then comes out through her like eyes and her mouth, and literally like grips onto him and pulls him in. And it's like, I almost wanted him to see more of what happened to him. I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to see him like melting. We
see his foot kind of out of the door and then just gets dragged.
Because again, it leaves like the whole idea of like the boot and stuff, as if the blob's gonna like come behind them and suddenly grab them. So I love the fact that you suddenly get an extra body horror effect of it coming out through her, which is. Sorry for the girl, it's horrible, but it's fucking...
It feels just like another invasion.
Yeah, although it is a weird thing on the size of the blob, though, because the blob seemed huge in the room with Paul in that, because he's taken, but now it's small.
Well, I'm guessing the blob can change.
You're just going to assume it can break bits off, or it can take parts, or whatever it can. But, that's a proper gross, like... the way it uses the body again, so it plays with you, because you're literally like, well, the blob can't be there because she's there, so it must be about to jump out at them. So again, playing on the whole idea of like the killer being on the back of the car or something like that kind of thing. Like, we know the door's been open the whole time, so it's in the car. But how it comes out of her is just an excellent.
It's so great. It's so gross. But then again, it's quite pacey, because I think after this,
well, they've seen, because. Again, like, it's not like is it happening, is it not? Like, obviously they're thinking that Kevin Dillon's character has killed Paul, or at least that's what they're saying. But the sheriff, to be fair, is a bit more on it, being a bit more like, I don't think anyone's done that. Like, I don't even, to be fair, one thing we don't actually get to see what they look like afterwards. But I don't know how anyone could think that possibly, because as far as we're concerned, like, it fully absorbed Paul, because he's just gone.
But his arm.
Oh, his arm. Yeah,
she pulls his arm.
Oh, yeah, of course she does. Yes, his arm.
Which is gross.
Yeah,
But there's no sign of anybody else. And
yes, you've just got that. Yeah, you've just got that arm left on the ground. So they just think that he went and fucking chopped him up to bits or something like that, saying that he's not coming home tonight. And we get those scenes with like Kevin Dillon's character where he's in the sheriff's office, and you've got the kind of, again, the cop who's played is kind of the asshole kind of cop.
Kind of, but not fully.
No, not fully. Like he thinks he's murdered someone. Well, they have enough with that guy that they play him up one way, and then later they give him kind of a redeeming like a kind of point where he actually gets a chance to redeem the way he acted earlier in the film.
Yeah.
Again, nice character, kind of little arcs kind of building in there. And he knows he hasn't done anything, but obviously we've got, one thing is sometimes with these they play out a lot longer where like a lot of the people don't know what's going on and stuff like that. This doesn't play that for too long. It's quite fast to get past that point.
Because I think after...
Because she, obviously, Shawnee Smith's character knows, and she's trying to tell everyone, and everyone's again trying to tell her like, nah, you didn't. I literally saw people getting him up. Nah, you didn't. You saw that other kid chop him up, right? No, I saw an alien blob creature, whatever the fuck it is, a pink blob eating people.
Well, yeah, again, keeping in theme with last week's invasion of the Body Snatchers. Gaslighting. Nah, you didn't see anything.
People, authority figures gaslighting people into believing what they want them to believe.
Well, I think after is the diner, which is another fantastic scene.
The diner's so good.
You know?
And again, the way it, like you had that scene earlier with her, and you get this real nice, and you also get to see them with the kids and stuff, her in the diner, and the guy that works with her, and you get this really like that she seems to be like a hard working, like she's working crazy hours and trying to do this, but she's a really like nice and kind to them. She obviously brings them in when they're like worked up and like have some food and things like that. And then we get that awesome scene of where there's a blockage in the back room, and the guy who's working for the kitchen nicely like, no, come on, I'll do this. You go and do that kind of thing. So again, building us to feel like, these people are nice. They're nice, small town kind of people. We're getting a nice perspective on them, and then literally when he gets gripped around him and he gets pulled in, but it's so good because you get the blood, but you also get to see his body getting like broken down and fully pulled through this. When you're in your brain, you're like, I feel like the whole sink would come out before his whole body would go through that. But it's really cool, like the way you get to see his body broken down when they rush in and like, fucking hell, she's screaming at the back, the waitress.
And it's probably this one and Paul are probably like the two iconic deaths of the film. I saw this, and then I saw like a screenshot of Paul's death, so I didn't know it was him who died. But it's so brutal, and it's like black comedy because somebody being pulled through a sink to their death, but it's also just brutal when you hear the snapping and you see the pipe.
It's over the top, but it's also it's such amazing the way the effects still look. Like, again, like looking at them, I was looking at it like, that still looks like a real leg being pulled broken through there. And it's that level of like craftsmanship when it's like, we might be playing this over the top, but we're also like really like doing it to an amazing, excellent level of perfection of how we're going to show this kind of thing. So that's why the black comedy of it all kind of works, because you're like, well, fair play, that was fucking entertaining. Like that was and then obviously they've got the idea of them all stuck in the, being like, where's it going to come through? It sounds like it's like in the vents. It sounds like it's in the room. Is it going to come out another sink? They're like, fucking hell, like we've got to get through there. We've got to get them out of there. And she runs off into the alleyway to go make a phone call.
I love that scene.
It's so like harsh and mean, because I feel like you like, she's nice.
She is nice.
She's nice, and she doesn't deserve this. But again, my favourite part of this scene is the fact that it's something you don't see coming.
Yes. And I mean, I love that this, going back to the like, but they're nice. Often in horror films you have the trope of like, this person's like, this is the lead, this is the shy girl, this is the ditzy girl, this is the asshole. And there's not many of them that you're like, they're straight nice. Up that, I didn't want them to have that. And
even the kid even the rapey jock, gets a really funny scene. So you somewhat at first feel like that until you see what he does, and then you're like, this kid needs to die.
This guy needs to die.
Up until that point, you're like, he's not just an asshole, but at least he's got something to him. He's got a bit.
He's just like
the way he's quick-witted in that scene makes you go, okay, well, there's something to this kid until
until he
next scene.
reveals himself to be
again. Everyone's just even in their short scenes feels layered, so that you do feel sorry for them. It's not just throwaway characters that you're like, there's there's nothing there. It is literally like, there's more to these characters than meet the eye. And I think that's right because again, it's such a especially in 70s and 80s, like is where a lot of that stereotype came from.
Yeah,
is the idea that he's got to be an asshole jock, she's going to be the weird, the weird other group, or whatever. You got a goth girl, you got a jock guy, and that
they need to be in detention.
And then you had to have people that were assholes in order to die.
Yeah,
as in like the people that are a bit of a dick, or they have to do something wrong in order to die, which is what makes them less scary. The idea is that the nice people sometimes are going to die, and that can involve men, women, children.
And I guess that's when you look at some horror films and they do the very basic stuff, which is mainly in slashers, where it's like if you have sex, you die, and if you behave outside of the societal norms, then you get punished for it. And obviously that's been critiqued to death and all sorts. But it's just something about having a bunch of nice characters just dying brutally. Just
average people in a small town doing this.
Yeah.
And when she's in this scene and you start to see she's on the phone and the sheriff gave her the number earlier to ring, and she's like crap, and she's trying to ring him on the payphone. And then in the top of the top corner, you start to see the pink appear and start to absorb, and she hasn't noticed. And you start to see it go down, and she's trying to ring, and she's not getting through to anyone on that number.
Yeah.
And you're like, fucking hell. And obviously, you had this whole thing of like, one thing that resonated was the fact that you feel sorry because almost like, fuck, the sheriff's going to be so disappointed because he was literally hoping to get some.
He's hoping to love.
But he was like, but that's the thing. It's not in like I'm getting a fucking gun. It literally was like, seemed like a really like, two older people who kind of like each other and want to go on a little date, and very small town, rural kind of feeling. So you get that little small town feeling, and you're almost feeling sorry for her because she's a nice character. You're feeling sorry because the sheriff is expecting to meet her later, and that was the plan and things like that. And then it hits you with another side bit of when it fully goes the thing, and she rings the number, and she's like, no, as if no one's answering, and the glass starts cracking, and then suddenly, thud.
Before that, she rings and I think she gets through, and she says, "Can you send the sheriff?"
Oh yeah,
and they go, "The sheriff already came earlier." And then you see his face,
Bob, to the face. He's like, "There's the sheriff down there." And
So
what I think is because the sheriff didn't seem like a character necessarily who was going in this way, as in off screen. Like this is when you've done an off screen death. That's how you do an off screen death.
It is
not like oh no, they've gone to room and we're not going to see anything like that. That shit. And this is how you show an off-screen death.
And again, subverting the expectations.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, like, outsider character, he doesn't get on with the sheriff, small town sheriff.
He's going to become a hero, or he's going to help.
Step up to help.
He's going to help the kids at some point. They're going to need him. And again, we've seen him in a lot of scenes already.
Yeah.
And he's already shown his authority. So you think he's not just going to be wiped out quickly.
Off-screen
and
as
gone,
well.
Gone, and and he's the actors are a fairly. He's been in a lot of Frank Darabont stuff. The actor who plays the sheriff, but that is so good. And then after all of that, it literally implodes in on her. The glass breaks, and she's just into this big thing. It's
so good. So brutal.
Most of the deaths in this are great. You know what I mean? Most of them, there are some good and bad, but everyone looks so good. There's only a few shots. There's a shot when they're going down through, I don't know what they're walking through, through an exit or a thing like that. There's a couple of shots that look, but I think because they are replicating the original in a shot. There's a shot when Kevin Dillon's character, Shawnee Smith's character, running down the hall, and above them the blob appears, and it just looks out of place. It looks weird, but I think that's a shot that's replicating the original style of,
maybe, because
in the original they have a scene like that where it's right behind them. There's a few of those shots that look a bit more like it's been added on top, whereas a lot of the scenes normally look like it's there. You know what I mean? Like a practical effect, not like we've shot this blob and now we're going to add the blob, because that's a lot of the original film obviously has to have a lot of superimposed, there's the blob above them, there's the blob behind them, when it's just people running and then they've done the black line around it. I feel like some of those ones were trying to reference the other, but the problem is when all the other special effects look so good, there's a couple of shots when you're like, that looks out of place compared to everything else you've done, like, because it looks wrong. The way it is above, like, Shawnee Smith and Kevin, it looks like it doesn't look like the right distance. It doesn't quite look right.
Well, I feel that comes with modernising it, doesn't it? Because when a lot of the times when we see the Blob, it has this kind of weird shape to it, and it's like veiny. Like at times it looks a bit like a brain. At times it looks like your balls when you get out of the bath. You know, it's like, and it's all kind of weird twisting. It's the original Blob is very much like a blob. You know,
it's just like a clear.
It's just like a clear kind of rounded shape that just grows and kind of elongates. Whereas this, it folds over itself and it spills out.
Yeah, and it has down things and through things.
And you can really feel like the weight of it.
Yeah, just like it's coming from anywhere.
Fucking rotten it is.
Yeah. This is kind of now where we kind of get to that big twist of what it actually really is.
Yeah, with the
where we get the idea that it's taken over the town, and this, obviously we've got the setup because we've got people in the cinema.
Yeah.
Who are watching the slasher, where they seem to have made their own little like fake slasher film on the screen of like, I didn't know I should be out this time of night, or did that thing just move behind me, or whatever they're kind of saying in the background. And you've got the kids in the cinema with like a asshole guy behind them who's like telling them to be quiet, and then you've got the two kids again, one just listening to his headphones while they're watching the film, and they're trying to make their way like across the town, and then we get like the military starting to appear,
turn up, and I like this is the twist. I like that we get into the expectation of it came from space, but I like that they've gone actually like. The government's now involved in this.
Yeah.
And if you think about, kind of like after Vietnam and after Watergate, where people started to get a bit like mistrustful of the government.
Yeah.
I like that it's a bit of a modernisation of it as well.
They're told one thing, and then obviously they start to slowly find out that actually, wait a second, this isn't right. Why are you doing? Like, why are you trying to almost in some ways like protect it in the same way as like you're not fully trying to destroy it? Why are you trying to protect it, kind of thing?
Also, I know that they don't know this, but we do, because we find out that it doesn't like the cold. They go in the freezer.
Oh yeah.
And they're very much like, we can use this against the Russians. And you're like, it'd be fucking useless. You need to be throwing a goo at them, and it just dies as soon as it gets.
They're trying to use that. Yeah. We'll throw that into Russia, and it's like fucking snow, man.
It goes
it's like cold.
minus 40 degrees some days. Like during the day, it will go like that. It's you're just some Russian man. You just throw like a ball of goo at him. He's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, not yet. That bit's not quite thought out. They haven't thought about like what the actual climate of that country is.
Well, I don't think they know that it doesn't like the cold in its defence.
Yeah, no, they don't realise. That's what they realised when they used the fire extinguisher against it in that scene to make it like that. I love the fact, again, I think this is from the original, the cinema scene is kind of in there, because that's in the original film where it kind of comes through. And like fucking hell, like it comes through, grabs the guy behind the kids.
Like it gets the projectionist.
Yeah.
I really like that it kind of like takes him, and then the usher comes in and he's like, what's going on in here? Yeah. And then he sees him up on the ceiling, like enveloped in the blob, and then the tentacles. That's one thing that I did
comes
really
down
like.
in like little like obviously like gooey little tentacles that come down and like pick people up.
I really like that.
Yeah, because you get to see multiple people like floating in the air, don't you? Like, is that like picked up and like absorbed in the air? Like you see people, and again we get loads of quick like special effects of people literally being like sucked in, absorbed, like their bodies like breaking up, kind of thing quickly. Like fucking hell. And the kids are in there like obviously legging it out there as they come into like, let's get out of here. How are we going to escape? Where do we go? Where can we get out to? Ending up in the sewers.
We've made it 43 minutes without saying that anybody's been sucked off yet. I just noticed that. We haven't. I thought we would have said that so early. Somebody would be sucked off by the blob.
They're constantly sucked off by the blob.
Yeah, constantly gets sucked by the blob. Even in the sewers, I feel like we have another subversion there. I like the idea of them being in the sewers. I like the military coming in. Yeah, I like them trying to hunt it and capture it. But the scene with
because we get them separated, don't we? Because Kevin Dillon's character goes off to go and be like, oh wait, we've got that snow, whatever. In the garage, like he starts going up, gets separated in a different direction when those and the kids are thrown down into the sewers.
Down into the sewers.
And we get that cool, like that awesome scene of them being in the water, and it's like, oh shit, what's in here?
Where's the rat? Yeah, that's a great scene.
Trying to get them up out of the water, trying to climb up out of the thing, like fucking hell, something's in here. Something gets eaten, and it's like, oh fuck.
And you just don't expect.
You don't expect the kid.
You don't expect the kid again.
No.
You know, you gotta respect its balls to be like.
Not just kill a kid, to have a melting child shown.
Yeah.
Like, he might have been a little asshole, but I don't think he deserved to literally have his skin melt. Like, literally, he's dragged under the water, and Shawnee Smith goes in to get him when he's dragged in. And she goes up there, and then you see, obviously, they think, oh shit, they're both gone. And then she pops back up just as if she can't see him. And then suddenly the kid pops back out the water, literally melty kid, looking like that lad in RoboCop when he gets melted by the acid or whatever. It literally looks like fucking melting away, like, ah!
Help me.
And then dragged in, like, and she's like, oh, you're fucked.
It's
like there's nothing we can do now. You're fucking melting.
Yeah, you're too
You're
late.
fucked. But yeah, killing a kid, not a common trope, you know?
No.
It's not done that often, you know? It's done sometimes for effect, and it does something, you know? And when it is used, it is, but again, I think in this film, using it with that small town setting and the already setting the idea that nobody is safe, it automatically, again, makes it scarier.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Everyone's fucked. You're literally there like and that includes, yes, although they survive, you are still thinking, well, in a minute, they're probably just going to kill off, you know, Shawnee Smith or something like that. Like, get her brother out, but then she gets dragged back down. Like, you're almost waiting for something like that to happen, aren't you?
Yeah. It just shows how, like, indiscriminate the Blob is, you know? And I like that they stuck with that choice. A lot of things you think would shy away from it, but it takes some balls to be like, nah, just fucking melt him. Yeah, he's a prick. Melt him, you know.
Yeah, and then they do get some of those scenes. I think the only bit for me when it gets a little bit slower is some of the, like, when it felt like it slowed down for a minute, is some of that kind of you know, when it's like Kevin Dillon that like getting chased through the sewers and they're finding out all the information about, oh, actually no, it's a chemical warfare, things like that. And I'm not, it's not that slow. I'm just saying, like, it's the only bit when I feel like the pace lets up for a minute to kind of be like, we've got to explain a little bit of this.
Yeah, we've got to explain.
You know, it's always tends to be a bit when a film can be a little bit dragged out. But in this case, it feels like they're explaining, but they're explaining because it is a twist on the original formula kind of thing. So it does work. I do like the bit when they blast the way out of the. And they're like, fuck, we're stuck. The Blob's going to get us now. Fuck, we're stuck. And they're like, just happens to be a rocket launcher just on the back of your thing. We were fucked. Now I'm going to blow up the van on top. I like the fact that they trap them down there to be like, they know, so we have to kill them. But basically, the military acting like, we're going to have to just kill all these people, aren't we?
Just kill them.
Yeah. We're going to let the Blob eat all these people anyway. Like, most of them are in the town hall. Protectors, let's kill them. You know what I mean? When he comes out there, and obviously they've got the gun and stuff, and that's the slight redemption for the other cop. Yeah. You know, who's like not trusting, because he had no trust in him early in the film. Like, as like, I bet you killed this kid, didn't you? Yeah. Like, he thinks he's a real scumbag, things like that earlier. But when he sees all those guys there, and you see that he's actually like, I don't actually trust you guys. Yeah. And I think you look like you're scared. You look like you're actually telling the truth. So I like the fact that he then trusts into that, even though, what is it, about 2 minutes later, once they get into the town hall, he gets literally split in half. Yeah. Not split in half, but literally folded in half as he's pulled through a cabinet they're blocking the door with. You're like, fuck.
Well, the scene where the Blob does come up to surface level, I love when, you know, the main military guy, Sergeant Mills, he's probably called, you know, they always have like a name like Mills or something. I'm just going to check his name because I'm sure it's something.
I mean, he's so willing to like off them and kill. I like, you know, the way he traps them under the thing by putting the car on top of it. Meadows. There you go. Mills, Meadows.
Close enough. But I love.
But it normally is, to be fair. It's normally like you said, like mill, meadow, fields. It's normally like a very like standard basic. That it's like what scenery can I look at when I'm writing this character? Leaf. Tree. That'll do.
Yeah. But yeah, I like his scene where he's kind of saying like, we need to get the blob. Like, can it go down and shoot it?
Yeah.
And then he looks over and
I love that scene seems to prove how little they understand what this blob can actually do.
Yeah.
Like, they're there to, like, stop it, but they truly don't understand at all how to stop it. Because blasting into a blob, like, shooting down the thing, you're just like, how the fuck is that going to do fucking anything? So when he actually gets, like, caught on, you're like, ah.
Yeah.
But then you can tell that he's out of control, because even the other guy who's with him, the other scientist who's with him, is like, that's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Like, we should probably try and all survive now, people,
let's
because
just try
that asshole's dead now.
Yeah.
There's always going to be like an asshole sergeant or thing in these kind of situations when it's taken over. Like, he needs to die.
Yeah, just let him die. And then the actual kind of, the main bit where the blob comes up into the street level.
This is when you first fully get to see it. Like, because obviously in a lot of the episodes you've seen it. Obviously, you see the goo, you see all of it, but you don't get to like fully see what it's become.
Yeah,
you're getting to see little parts of it. You get to see like them inside of it, but you're not getting like a full shot of it. Obviously, like, and in the original, you got to the point when you got quite a few shots of it like absorbing, going across things.
Yeah.
But in this one, they do play out a little bit more of like I'm not saying that this is a big reveal like showing the shark in Jaws, because we get the same thing. It's like that. It's like, yeah, it was a blob. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like but it still does take that same effect of like
somebody watching
cool
this,
special effects, but we are teasing like how big it's getting until you fully get to see like yes, it's a mountain of a blob.
Somebody who just watched it, didn't read the title, didn't read anything. Oh my god, it's like a blob.
What the fuck? There's a blob in this film.
Who said there's a blob?
It's a blob.
What the hell is it?
I don't think I don't know if even in the original they ever actually say the word that's a blob. It just seems like a terrible way to like.
But it's not a good name.
The goo. The goo. What is a good what?
Exactly.
Fair, what is
What's a good name for it? Like
trans-dimensional absorbing creature.
Like the Thing works. That's such a great name. The Thing.
The Thing.
But being like the Blob, like
absorbing.
The absorbing.
The incredible absorbing creature.
Like,
the Blob.
Like, what do we call it? It's Blob. Okay.
Yeah.
Blob or what?
Yeah, there's not really a good name for saying like what
it's iconic, don't get me wrong. But it is, it's like trying to name it must have been so difficult.
Yeah, you feel like if they remade this now, they would be like, what could we call it? There's like a cooler way of saying that instead of just releasing a film called Blob. The Blob.
Well, the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, great title for the modernisation. Invasion. They'll think of something.
Yeah. It.
Yeah, take it. Not the Thing. Take it.
Yeah. So when you get to see that, and obviously now we've got the whole obviously town trying to fight up against, in the town like, oh fuck, we need to run. Obviously they're all in. That's the weird thing, is like they've got this blob thing, and obviously it's because partially they don't fully know what's going on here, but you're a bit like, oh fuck, you're all bundling yourself into it's like you're making yourself a Happy Meal.
Yeah.
You're literally like one box is all I need, because that's all you need to do. You've got the whole town in one room. You can just now go in and just fucking absorb the whole room, which I was almost fully expecting it to just literally be like, and they're all dead.
Just go for
like, they just kill them all.
It grows by eating people. Quick, everybody, bunch together.
But then obviously you get the whole like snow machine, whatever car, like truck that he's got kind of thing that comes in.
Yeah.
And we start kind of trying to fight back. They're all inside of there.
There's a scene with the guy with the flamethrower.
Oh yeah.
And it just kind of latches onto him and he just explodes.
Yeah,
it's a bit like Carnage is kicking off. The Reverend.
Oh yeah, burning. Like he's
burning.
like trying to do that, gets half burnt. Yeah, he's got a weird role in this film, to be fair, right to the very end. And yeah, this is like that kind of, but it all really takes place just on one street set, to be fair. So it's not like a huge, like, it's not across the whole town. It is like the whole town's kind of there that we've seen of the town. But it's all just mainly on this one street where they're either inside the building or outside the building trying to block it from coming into the building.
But that's the original as well, isn't it? It kind of all takes place on that one street.
Yeah, because it's the easier way to do it as well, because it's like one set instead of being like, shit, we've got to build like loads of goo sets.
Yeah. Loads of goo. We need so much goo. And this is one guy, I haven't got any more goo.
You know what would be a great name for the modern version of this film? And again, it's already been taken. The Substance.
Yeah.
They've failed themselves by not doing it by not working out how to do another one of these sooner. Because I do think, again, if you took the sensibilities of this film, you could do probably a good remake of this one, but you'd have to work out a name that I think that people. I feel like lots of people, general audience, wouldn't go to see the Blob.
No, and I don't know.
Someone will do it. I know for a fact there was one point when Rob Zombie was going to do this. Rob Zombie was good. Like this was back when Halloween time when he was making Halloween. He was originally on to make a remake of the Blob.
It would be set on some redneck trailer.
Oh yeah, it'll be absolutely
dog shit.
Survive the trailer park of that. Like, I don't think he's ever done anything based in a city or anything, so it literally would have to be like a small. Basically, take that the way he makes Haddonfield in Halloween 2, for instance, and makes them all kind of redneck hicks and weird goth chicks.
And everyone's horrible.
Everyone's fucking assholes, and that's basically what we would then get. Except there'd be a weird CGI blob creature that's just eating fucking everything. Yeah, it would be fucking awful. It's good it never happened.
Yeah, I'm not completely against Rob Zombie films. Don't get me wrong.
If he's in his right ball house for what he does, we're talking, if we're talking about a little bit kind of Texas Chainsaw-y, then he's in his kind of ball house. Not saying he makes a great, but he's good with rednecks and creatures and subversion of like that kind of thing. But he's not good at making like general audience, like big city things or things like that. Like, and the Blob just sounds like a terrible idea because it would just take place in a hodunk town.
Yeah,
it's like. That general people don't really care what happens this town.
People want this to happen.
Yeah, people want this to happen. On the outside, there's some land developer going, yeah.
All right, wait till it's eating everybody, then get the snow machine.
Well, then we can get the oil, right?
Yeah.
There's hiding under the ground, like the Texas out of Simpsons, like just shooting his guns in the air, like, hey, it's God. Like his dark ending where everyone dies, and then just literally like, land developers fucking love this.
They love it. Get that land, baby. But I don't know. I think that would have been dog shit.
Yeah, I think that would have been. I've heard it mentioned. It has been mentioned several times, which normally means at some point. It will. At some point, it will happen. Someone will do it. Like someone will make it, or
everything gets remade.
Or someone will look at something, or I don't know, fucking Netflix, or someone will go, yeah, why not? You can make it. Here you go. I don't care about the script. Just make sure people don't only pay like. Remember, you've got to make sure that they don't have to pay full attention.
Yeah,
that was that bullshit thing about Netflix. I think Matt Damon said the only thing they're told when they're making Netflix films is you have to make it so that if they're half paying attention to their phone, they can still follow the film.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's why most Netflix films are dog shit.
That's why
anyone who actually watches the film goes, this makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Oh yeah, because you're making it so that
it
basically remind people of the plot every 5 minutes, so that if they didn't pay attention, they'll know what's going on.
It makes perfect sense because it's just a repeat of the story. But in this, it
makes perfect sense for them making money, but in terms of making film, it's fucking awful.
This would literally be like, there is a blob and it grows by eating people, so I don't want it to eat me.
Yeah.
And then
they look down at their phone and then look back, oh look, people are eating. Okay. And then look back down at their phone, people are still being eaten.
It's eating someone so you can look. Okay, the eating stopped, go back to your phone.
Yeah, and then
I'm like,
that's what most of it is. It's fuck the character development.
I can't remember what it's called, but
structure.
I've heard about it, man. I don't know, I hate that.
Yeah, it's really it's a really shit way to it. It is what's causing like films to be like really like terribly made now, where you've got so much content, but the amount of good content out there is like, oh fuck, like that's why I push that films should be made for the cinema, because it makes people go, oh, you know what, I actually need to make them pay attention.
Yeah.
Like, no one in the cinema is going to be like should be. You pay enough money now, to be fair, so you should pay attention if you're paying for it.
Yeah. No. Let's move on before
the Blob.
Rage.
So this is kind of, again, we got like this is kind of the action throws where we get to have the girl become like a little bit of a badass, where she's like, I'm going to go out and fight it. I've got the fire extinguisher. I know that's it. To be fair, we're the only ones that worked this out. No one else did, because we managed to work that out, so we need to get that. But the fire extinguishers, then she almost gets out there and you're like, look at the size of it.
Yeah.
You're gonna break like a bit of it off.
You're gonna die.
You're gonna get like an ice cube tray, not like the whole thing kind of thing.
But no, it's...
And then it's like we've got to destroy the tanker, basically, that came off the flipped-over truck and things like that. And as, obviously, it's also saving, again, a little bit, I guess, with the girl saving the guy that is stuck inside of, because he's stuck inside. It's completely consuming the cab that he's inside of, that then starts to, like, break down like into it. So it's like fucking... She's, like, basically getting him out of there to save his life. Yeah, it's a really cool. Like, this is almost the bit when it is like the standard, like, now we've got to destroy it kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's that bit. But that's just the thing. Like, up until this point, I'd had so much like fun subversion and stuff like that. Like, when it gets to the end and you've got to have a little bit of the formulaic, like now it's got to die kind of thing. And it is fun throughout the entire film.
Yeah, of course. It's just like the end just feels very quick.
Yeah.
I feel like once it gets onto the street level, it rages chaos and it's good, but it kind of ends very, very quickly.
Yeah,
you know,
to just like blow it up and basically, look, we've got like snow.
Snow. It's Christmas.
It's Christmas on the streets.
It's Christmas.
Lovely.
My friend just got melted, but it's snowing. So.
We saved money on the budget because we basically set up this small town ready for the Hallmark film that's going to come in 10 minutes to film their Christmas.
Yeah.
Everyone clear the street, get the trucks off. They're now going to make...
Yeah, get rid of the goo.
Get rid of the goo.
And the crystals.
Get off the street.
And we're going to make, Gremlins.
Yeah. So, no, I really like all of that stuff, although I'm not going to lie, it does end with the most 80s style kind of weird scene of like, I feel like I've seen other very 80s kind of films where they had kind of weird like little tags. This has kind of the as if it's setting it up for a sequel kind of thing. It's got like that kind of setup. We've got a guy in an eye patch, and we're not talking about the Avengers.
No.
You know, we've got the priest who's like half burned down his face, and he's given like in this tiny little like southern kind of
like a
tent. And he's like, and basically that he's insane. And he's basically, I'm going to bring the world to the rights of the rapture. Basically, this is my thing. He's like, I'm waiting for it to be ready kind of thing. Even though it's already moving, so it's ready. It's ready to eat. I don't know, like, I feel like it's implying that he's going to be some evil guy. To be honest, like he's some bad guy.
Well, I think he's just got to release it thinking, and he's just got to die. As soon as he releases that thing.
Yeah, but it gives the implication of like, as if this is the apocalypse that we were waiting for. This is what we waited for, kind of thing. Which is why I'm just there like, well, it's moving, so you can probably let it out now and just let it go and kill people, eat them, But it's a weird, it's a weird little like stinger on the end of the film for like a sequel, but also kind of like going back into that kind of what the priest said earlier about the whole end of the world Armageddon-y kind of idea.
Well, doesn't the original end on a kind of cliffhanger?
I don't remember.
I'm sure it ends on like.
I think it does always end with the idea that the goo's. I'm just going the goo now. The goo's still alive.
Yeah, I feel like it ends on.
The blob is still living, or they'll be back, kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like it ended on something similar there.
Yeah, because they had a sequel to the original.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, but in like the 70s. So the actor who plays the priest in this film was actually a character in the original one.
Okay.
That's a little tidbit for you there. He was like he played like the homeless guy in the sequel kind of thing. So I've never seen the sequel, but apparently it's a bit of a cult kind of classic kind of one because that was 70s.
Yeah.
So it has a bit more of a updated special effects and a bit more 70s-ish style. So one to check out. But I don't know. It is fine. It is what it is. A kind of leaving on that kind of apocalyptic kind of thing. But I don't know. There certainly just felt so oddly like a bit pointless about it, kind of thing, like you're kind of the end there to leave it on some kind of a note of that. But maybe they were hoping they'd get to make more of these films with a creepy, evil, bad guy of a priest who's I released them.
I just like it as a weird little ending. I like it in a sci-fi when people survive a little bit or they walk away with the virus.
It's a weird scene, so I like it purely because it is like a what the fuck is this kind of thing? Why is this burnt up priest now giving this kind of? But yeah, it's a different end of the thing. But again, the film moves at such a pace, and that's such a thing that most people wouldn't like. If you've never seen this film, and you listen this far, so your subversion is going to be a bit fucked.
Yeah,
but seriously, you're kind of ruining it for yourself. But seriously, like if you know people who like horror, who've never seen this, like I would 100% because I think that this is a great horror film.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's definitely like it's up there as one of the better practical effects sci-fi horrors that I've seen. Like literally it's got some effects in this where it's like The Thing is an amazing sci-fi horror effects film, but this has got some of those kind of effects in this film. It's got the same fun, it's got the same interesting, it moves quick, it moves a bit like a fast like slasher kind of thing, but it works and it is great time, I think.
Yeah, and I just think it's such a shame that it didn't
take off.
It didn't take off, and it wasn't as well kind of box office wise, because I think The Fly did quite good and was quite critically well received. I know The Thing wasn't, but it's a shame that like 2 out of 3 were kind of panned and didn't really go anywhere. You know?
Well, Nightmare's good. To be fair, it's not. I feel like it's not a new. Mr. Frank Darabont has a whole career of sadly being a constant underrated writer director who constantly has films that underperform, and then I look back at going, "That was fucking great.
That was class."
Like,
why did we like that?
Most of his career, you got to remember, Shawshank Redemption was a box office flop.
Yeah.
Like it was did okay with awards, but it should have done better. And now most people rate it as like the best film ever made.
Yeah.
So it literally is like looking back at it. So if he's got a hand in it most of the time, I think it's great. Like he's the one that made so many things. Certain things work. He's had hands in like TV shows, and then you're like, I can see why that was good. He's the reason that most of the characters were interesting at the beginning of The Walking Dead, and then when he left, he's also the reason why some of it went a bit to pot.
Yeah,
because after the first two seasons of Walking Dead were great. They were slow build, character development, weren't just constantly about who's this, and he also brought in the whole like who's gonna like you don't know who's going when, and he made it feel like that, but you cared about the characters, and then. The further it went on, the more you start to be like, well, the whole anyone could die anywhere and is now being used just as an effect, and I don't care about a lot of this, those kind of things. Yeah. But he built it originally to be this very small scale idea, and they took it into this, made it bigger and bigger till it didn't quite work as well, kind of thing. But that's Frank Darabont, sadly a highly underrated writer, and Chuck Russell, who's also done some good like stuff that people know, but seems like he ended up a bit more. In the 90s in more of the like action film. He did like Erasure with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He did The Scorpion King with films that generally like, although I remember
The Mask
effects wise, The Mask. So films that generally like effects wise really good effects, but generally kind of ones that were not as well. Again, people of our generation, like loads of people are like, The Mask is like a classic, like that was a huge hit, right? But it wasn't as big a hit as people think it was. So I think it feels like he generally had a lot of flops that then took him kind of out of the rotation.
Yeah.
I mean, he got himself more into the entertainment biz side of it, the more of the making action films or like films for stars that weren't always as big a hits as you'd expect. But yeah. I can't remember any of them having bad special effects though, so it seems like he's pretty on that.
Yeah, I mean we should have done a sequel to this with Arnold.
Yeah.
Following on from our Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you know?
Now we need a sequel where Arnold goes toe to toe with the Blob.
Yeah.
As in the Blob cannot consume all of Arnold.
Of course it can. You know? It could.
It tries to eat his arm, but again it only takes part of that muscle away.
Yeah. And then
it only takes a lair of the muscle away, as he is.
Yeah, you know.
Until it turns into a giant 5 foot Arnold. The 5 foot? I was trying to I meant to say like a 500 foot, I said 5 foot.
Well, 5 foot's better.
It turns into a tiny Arnold. It turns into a Danny DeVito-sized Arnold.
Turns into a chode Arnold. And he has to fight it, you know. And then we answer the big question: is it length or girth? You know, that's where that's the big theme and question of the sequel.
Yeah.
Blob 2.
Blob 2 with Arnold.
Blob 2 with Arnold. That's what it's called.
Well, it wouldn't be Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Blob.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Blob.
Is the Blob.
Yeah.
He is consuming all to get his muscles bigger.
Yeah, there we go. I mean...
I think we've praised this film a lot. It's a lot.
Again,
to tell people about this film, get them to watch it. It's a fun horror. Like, it would be a great film. This would be a great first time watch. This would be a great Halloween horror when it gets that time when you're trying to say like, what should I ever go at? I've never watched this before. Throw them towards an 80s film, because again, some of them are put down quite a lot because of their style or just the general stereotypes of the time. But this is one of those that goes against a lot of that and goes, nah, fuck that stereotype.
Yes. And, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Simply put, just got to jab it in there.
You're just going to jab that segue.
Jab that segue in
like
there.
The Blob jammed everything in.
Yeah, like the Blob. Just blob that button.
Suck all the air out of the room.
Suck all the air out of the room. We've got some more fun little body snatching films coming up for you. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave us a lovely review. Let us know what you think of The Blob. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at CMTH Podcast. And as always, Play us out, fellas.